Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly, David D. Simons. I'm excited and honored to have today's guest on the show, Mr. Jim Peterson. He's an entrepreneur, he's a leader, he's a speaker, he's a professional, and he's got so much wealth of knowledge. He's been an entrepreneur since he was 12 years old, and we're going to dive into his story deeply. So, Mr. Peterson, thank you so much for being on the show. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Hey, David. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this whole show, the premise of the show is to help people to discover those gifts that God has given them and to develop those gifts and then eventually distribute those gifts to impact the world and also make a monetary impact on the lives of those with those gifts. So it's intriguing to me that you started entrepreneurship at 12. So can you just take us through your journey as a leader, as an entrepreneur? How did this start? And let's start with your journey.
Yeah, so the whole 12-year-old story started actually from a comic book, right? So I was one of those kids that collected comic books, and one day in the back of my Superman, I remember I may even still have it. I have several of those. It was in the back of a Superman comic book. There was this ad that said, "Be in business for yourself." Right. And I always heard all these stories about my grandfather being in business. He owned several businesses down in South Philadelphia. So I wanted to be in business for myself. Right. So what this was a permanent Social Security card. And now you're a young man. You might not even remember this. But back in the day, we used to always carry our paper Social Security cards with us. Of course, I was 12 years old. I wasn't carrying anything at the time. But adults at the time carried paper Social Security cards. And over time, putting it in and out of your wallet and in and out of your pocket, they get torn up and you got to go get another one. So what this ad was saying that we will create for you a permanent Social Security card. So they would stamp it out of metal. It was an aluminum Social Security card. So you would have it forever almost. So what I did was I made copies. All right, I took it to school, asked the teacher to help me on the mimeograph because I went to a Catholic school. Right, we were it was already a long time ago, but we were behind everybody else because the school didn't have a lot of money, so it was actually a mimeograph that I would make these applications, and I went door to door. Right now, I went to Catholic school, so I had my shirt and tie on. And I would go door to door and sell these Social Security cards. So what that meant was I had to ask people to give me their Social Security card. Can you imagine that today, knocking on somebody's door and asking them, "Oh, can I have your Social Security card?" Right? You want to hold it for a minute, right?
Yeah.
But, these folks wanted to help me, folks in the neighborhood. I guess, first of all, they wanted a permanent Social Security card because it was, at the time, it was a nice thing to have. But they handed me their Social Security cards. So I would come home with a stack of Social Security cards, right? And complete, because nobody wanted to actually fill out the application. That's one thing I remember. Nobody was like, "I don't have time." You fill it out, right? So they would give me their Social Security card. I would fill out all these applications, put it in an envelope, and mail this thing away. And then their card would come back, and I'd take it back to their house and deliver the Social Security card, and they would pay me, right? So that's crazy to think about today, that you would actually ask somebody to hand you their Social Security card so you can go, fill out this application for them. But yeah, that was my first business.
Look at that.
I've been coming up with ideas to make money ever since.
Look at that. You had to be making more money than all the 12-year-olds that you knew, I'm sure.
It was enough to, buy the snacks that I needed and a pair of sneakers every day.
Amazing. So you said it was your grandfather you saw that had multiple businesses himself?
Yeah, actually, it was my great-grandfather. It was my father's grandfather who had a furniture store. He had a restaurant called the Cozy Corner. He had several apartment buildings down in South Philadelphia.
Wow. So it's like a generational blessing. So
yeah, so I grew up hearing all these stories about Colonel. We called him Colonel.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you think about it, Mr. Peterson, what is your most dominant gift?
Hmm. I guess educating, right?
Mm,
And not in a typical way, just in you know just doing things and being an example, right? I'm I would say that's teaching, but teaching by an example, right?
mm,
Because I think that's the best way. Go out
mm.
and show them how to do it, and then share those best practices.
Right.
So I'm known as a business coach right now, but I always tell people that I'm working with that the reason why I'm such a good coach is because I made all the mistakes. Right?
Wow.
I made them all. Right? I was kind of hard headed growing up, and even though there were many people in my life who gave me the way or tried to show me the way or gave me answers, I had to find out for myself. I'm a
Right.
doer. So I made a lot of mistakes, but now I can share those experiences with folks who are trying to do some of the things that I'm trying to do and other things because the basics are the basics. There's certain
Right.
things you do and certain things you don't do, right?
Mm.
And if somebody can guide you to avoid those obstacles, it's going to be so much easier for you to make it.
Wow. That's respect. I respect that. So this education spirit you said came from, making your bumping your own head, making some mistakes, and wanting to help other people not to avoid those. What about earlier as a youth? Did you know that education was something that you love to provide and give to others? Did you see seeds of that as a youth?
Not so much, not so
Mm,
much. But it was stressed in my household, right?
mm,
Education was stressed in our house. We saw that as my parents instilled in us. My sister and I, it was just us two, instilled in us that that was our pathway, right? Although we were very athletic, my sister is fast as lightning and played all kinds of sports, and I always wanted to be like her, right? So I learned to be pretty athletic. I wasn't
mm.
born athletic,
Wow.
but I learned to be pretty good at a few sports. And so while we were pretty athletic, we saw our pathway as being education. So
Wow.
we both wanted to make sure that we had as much knowledge as possible. Still learning. My sister is still learning at our age. We're still learning, constantly taking classes. I'm teaching all kinds of classes now while also taking other classes and constantly trying to learn as much as I can.
Love it. Respect it. So take us from this 12-year-old creative entrepreneur to today, a wealth-minded person, a real estate investor, someone who's had a series of types of businesses. Take us to that journey. Like, what was his entrepreneurial path? And just for listeners hearing this and seeing that, hey, I might want to go down this path of entrepreneurship, or I want to tap into this gift, and maybe I want to eventually educate people too.
Yeah. So again, it's a little bit of everything. I have too many businesses that I've started to name, really.
Mm,
And obviously, they didn't all work out, right? Again, I said I made a lot of mistakes, right? But I'll fast forward a little bit to high school, and about to come out of high school in 11th grade, and my mother, who was working at a company up in Northeast Philadelphia, told me to go up to Sears and Roebuck, the Sears building on the Roosevelt Boulevard. Right? She said the guys, because she was in a union shop at this manufacturing plant. She said the guys are picketing Sears. Right? So go up there and see if they need something. So I would go up there, in the summertime. I would go up there and every day and just see if they need something. They send me to the store for cigarettes and coffee and soda and to get lunch and stuff like that. Right. So again, I'm sowing those seeds. This is something else that my mom taught me. Sowing those seeds, and then the following summer they give me a job. Right.
mm,
That job where she worked gave me a job in the shop with all those guys I went to go run to the store for. All right.
right.
So these are grown men. I'm a kid, right, just out of
Mm,
high school. So I'm working with them and I'm doing whatever needs to be done. right, around the warehouse. I'm cleaning toilets, I'm sweeping floors, I'm cleaning the parking lot, whatever needs to be done initially, and then eventually, I was able to join one of the machines. Right, they had all kinds of machines in there. I was able to, actually get a real job on a machine,
Nice.
and that was in so that's 1985.
Mm.
By 93, I was a plant manager. I was the night shift plant manager, right? Supervising some of those guys that were sending me to the store to get cigarettes and soda, right? By 97, I'm in the engineering part of the company,
Mhm.
having gone to Penn State that they paid for the company,
Wow.
and I'm in R&D engineering. So I've kind of gone about as far as I can go in that company. So I was looking for something new.
Mm.
And the only thing that I would even be remotely interested in at that company was sales, because I would talk to the sales guys all the time. I'm in R&D where the products actually get created. So I would get
Right.
phone calls from the salesman from time to time and say, "Hey Jim, I need to know if this product can do this and I can do that." Right? And all I was interested in was, "Hey, where y'all at?" Right? Where
Yeah.
are you? Where are you going for lunch? What's the weather like? Because they were traveling all over the place. And I'm like, man, that seems sweet. I'm stuck in a lab all day, right?
Right.
I'm stuck in the engineering R&D lab, and all I wanted to do was get out, right?
Mm.
Get out and meet people and find new things and live life right outside of that lab. And that's what they were doing. So I
Mhm.
decided I wanted to get into sales, and
Mm.
I had some very serious conversations with the company, right? All out of respect, right? Very respectful. And but they made it very clear. I had a long conversation with the president, who was always very, very, very cool with me. We're friends to today, Mr. Max Krause, the president at the time, and he said, "Jim, you're not going to be a salesman for this company, right?" He just made it
Mm.
very clear, which I respected. Right? Didn't like it, but I respected it. He said, he told me like it was. He said, "Look,
Yeah.
you're not going to be a salesperson." So then I decided that it was time for me to go. I had another friend that worked at the same company. He was now working for a company that was installing epoxy flooring.
Mm.
And so I reached out to him, and he said that the owner had put a little ad in a paper called The Leader. If you're familiar with the Leader newspaper. Oh, no, not the Leader. The wasn't the Leader. It was the Penny Saver.
Oh yes.
And he put a little ad in the Penny Saver about needing a salesperson. And my friend told me, hey, he said, "Hey, listen, Tom, who was the owner, is looking for a salesperson. Maybe you want to apply here." So I reached out to Tom and took a few days off from work and shadowed Tom and rode around with him. We were up in the hills of Pennsylvania and stuff like that, visiting what they specialized in were fire stations and car dealerships. So we're going from fire station to fire station and car dealership to car dealership. And so we get back at the end of the day, long day. We start out early, go to the furthest spot and work our way back. Right.
Mm.
That's how Tom taught us how to do it. And at the end of the day, we go to McDonald's to download, and he's showing me all these checks that we collected that day. And he says, "Listen, if you work for me, you'll get 10% of everything that you bring in." And I'm looking at all this money, right, that we collected in one day. And I said, "Yes, sign me up. We got a deal."
Right.
Right now, you got to understand, I got a wife and two kids at home. We got a house on Mount Airy and a couple cars, right? And I just I just made the decision, right? Executive decision that, all right, I'm gonna give all that up. Not that, but my job, my good paying job that I've been at for 15 years,
Mm.
benefits, vacation, you know,
Mm.
pension and 401k, right? You can't
Mm.
even find that anymore, right? So you can imagine the conversation I had with my wife
I can imagine.
when I went home to tell her that I was giving all that up to go work for this guy working out of his living room for straight commission, no benefits.
What did she say?
motivation.
I'm so curious.
I can't say what she said. You know what she said, right? So we had that heart to heart, right?
Mhm, mhm.
But at the end of the day, I'll tell you, I'll be honestly, I'll tell you what she said. She said, I trust you, is what she said,
Wow.
right? I mean, after screaming and after after the storm, right? Then
Right.
at the end of the day, she said, "Look, I trust you." She knew I wasn't going to let her down, right? I never let
Wow.
her down. I'm not going to let her down. So I ended up leaving that job. Working for this guy with this flooring company. And don't worry, it all worked out. It all worked out pretty good. Myself and my friend Chris, we ended up buying the company in 3 years. That was 97. By 2000, we bought the company from this guy Tom, and so we had an operation in at the time we had an operation in Marcus Hook. Uh, we had an operation in Claymont, Delaware, and we decided to build a manufacturing plant in Baltimore, Maryland.
Mm.
So early 2000s, we built a plant down here in Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. We're making tile and grout. We had a company called Star Quartz Tile and Grout. The other company was called Criterion Flooring. So they're both running. Criterion does installation. The tile and grout does manufacturing and installation. Everything worked out pretty well after all that. So I was able to, raise my family. Had 4 kids in total. Everybody's good. Everybody's educated, and things worked out pretty good. So the tile and grout manufacturing company was sold in 2011. I had held on to Criterion. Personally, I held on the Criterion, sold the rights to the installation side of Criterion in 2013, and then kind of transitioned out of flooring and tried to find some other things to do. So I became a score mentor. I
Wow.
did some contracted sales for Lowe's and a couple other companies in the meantime, but then eventually I became a SCORE mentor down in the Baltimore area, and just helping. What SCORE is an organization of retired executives,
Hmm.
and what we do is we help folks who are starting and growing businesses, need help with business plans. I became a business plan specialist, which
Wow.
is crazy because we were running that company and never had a business plan, right? We just knew how to make money, so we just jumped
Okay.
right in, making all the money that we can.
Yeah.
Realized late in the game how important business plans were. Again, making all the
Mm.
mistakes. Right at some
Right.
point, we decided to do some government contracting, and business needed a business plan and capability statements and things like that. Figured out what all that was,
Yeah.
and how important they were. And I actually became pretty good at teaching those things, right, after making all the
Wow.
mistakes. So for
That's
SCORE, I was teaching people how to do capability statements, financial projections, business plan writing, and things like that. So I did that for a while. So this brings
yeah.
us to about 2015. 2015, down in Baltimore, we had an incident, Freddie Gray uprising, right?
That's
Young
right.
man killed in the back of a police van. Things got really crazy in some of these neighborhoods. So the mayor's office reached out to me and said, "Hey, listen, we know that you had this business here. You hired a lot of the folks from some of these areas that we're having issues with. We need somebody to go into these neighborhoods and start talking to people about, first of all, getting to know the business owners in the area. Secondly, how to create their own businesses."
Mm.
Right. So I would grab these young guys, those who would listen, and try to teach them about business and entrepreneurship, and what it takes, and managing your finances and budgeting. Because some of them already had entrepreneurial minds. They weren't always legal, in the way that they were applying it, but they
Right.
had the mind. They had the
Right.
mindset already. right? And then
Yeah.
some of them wanted to do some things, didn't know what to do or how to do it. So, it was great to get in front of those folks and get everybody involved, including the existing business owners, right?
Mm.
Because now what you're doing is you're building equity, right?
Right.
Everybody needs everybody. If you're selling something to these folks, you need them. If you have
That's
something
right.
that they need you. Everybody knows each other. It's less likely that we're going to have some foolishness when everybody depends on everybody and there's equity within the neighborhoods. And
True.
I was very surprised at how disjointed some of these neighborhoods were. They were all right there in the same place,
Right.
but they didn't know each other, and they didn't understand each other. I should say
Mm.
more than not know each other, but they didn't understand each other. So
Hmm.
so I did that for a few years with the city, and I had to become a non-traditional funding specialist,
Mm.
right? Because many of these folks that I was working with in these underserved communities, I couldn't walk them into a bank and say, "Hey, let's get a loan and start this business." So we had to find other ways of getting funding, and one of those ways were pitch competitions. So
Mm.
we would do pitch competitions for a little bit of money. Sometimes, my money. A lot of times in the beginning, my money,
Mm.
uh, or whoever would donate some funds or some product. You know, we do it at restaurants. Did some in Mondawmin Mall and down here in Baltimore. We have a mall called Mondawmin Mall, very popular mall, and in different areas we would do pitch competition because that now these folks have a business plan, they have capability statement, they have projections, so they know how to get started. Now they need a little bit of money,
Right.
right? So I would do what I could to get them a little bit of money and actually get them started. Sometimes buying them inventory or getting somebody to donate the inventory that they need, whether it be blank T-shirts or bottles of water or an ice machine for snow cones and some flavoring. So as the projects got bigger and bigger, I needed more and more assistance, right? So wasn't paying for everything, and I reached out to M&T Bank. M&T Bank then became my partner, right? So the
Mm.
projects that I wanted to do, they would sponsor and back and fund. Eventually, I created a cohort, an accelerator program, a 10
Yeah.
week small business accelerator program that I called 0 to 100.
Mm.
So in this program, we're going to teach you everything you need to know, right?
Yeah.
In those 10 weeks, we're going to teach you everything you need to know to grow your business. And then at the end, we're going to have a pitch competition again
That's
because
right.
everybody needs a little money to get it started, right?
Right.
So M&T funds that, and we still run that till today,
Look
right?
at
So
that.
today we're in Baltimore City and Baltimore County, Howard County, Montgomery County, Frederick County, um, Prince George's County, and we'll have in the spring, in the fall we'll have Hartford County as well. So we're in quite a few counties twice a year. We got a lot over 300 people coming through the program already, and it just continues, right? I'm
Wow.
teaching. I got other folks coming in, subject matter experts coming in and teaching. We teach you how to do business with your local government, how to do business
Yeah.
with your state, all those things all that foundational information that all businesses need, while at the same time giving you those connections, right?
Right.
Teaching you the social capital that you need and making those connections because it's all about connections. At the
That's
end of
right.
the day, it's all about relationships. Whether you're talking about a relationship with your banker
Yeah.
or a relationship with your customer, relationship with your vendors, it's all about relationship with your council person, your senator,
For
right?
sure.
I'm trying to teach these folks that all of that is important.
Yeah.
We didn't
Absolutely.
realize it. Again, when we moved down to Baltimore from Philly, we were both from Philly, my partner and I,
Yeah.
not knowing anybody, right? We just thought we just come in here and make as much money as we can, and
Yeah.
everything's going to work out. But you
Right.
got to know some folks
That's right.
because things don't always go the way you expect them to go, and
True.
and every now and then you need somebody you can can reach out to and say, hey, what do you mean our block is being shut down because got some construction going on? What are we going
Yeah.
to do, right?
Right.
Things happen. Things happen, and you need
Wow.
some folks you need to reach out. You need to be able to reach out to, and
Wow.
so that's what I do. That's kind of like my story. I continue to be. So the bank actually created a position for me.
Mm.
My title is Small Business Ambassador. So I'm all things small business for M&T Bank, and I continue to educate, empower, and engage with folks in these underserved communities
Yeah.
to continue again to build folks, teach them about small business and entrepreneurship because the
Yeah.
idea is building wealth for themselves and generational wealth for for their families.
I love it. Wow. Wow. What a journey. First question I have around that is as you and your business partner, I believe it's Chris,
Yes.
we're building out things from the beginning to like with it sounds like really no structure at first, right? Like you're
Yeah.
just building,
Yeah.
getting money, right? And
Yeah.
then to the point, because there's some hidden things that you said here that I think the listeners should really catch. To the point where you were able to sell the business. So to be able
Mhm.
to make a sellable business, there has to be structure and operations and systems because all that stuff needs to be clearly defined. So, could you talk about going from transforming and creating, and you know how entrepreneurs can do, just building any kind of business to really creating something that was sellable and for a
Yeah. After
multiple,
a
I'm sure.
while, again, you find your flaws, right? You start hiring people, and things are getting out of hand, and eventually you realize, hey, listen, we got to get some structure to this, right? So you put people in place. If you're fortunate, you can hire some folks like we were. We were able to hire some folks, office managers, warehouse managers, put people in place, foremen to run the crews. You put people in place who are smarter than you. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people all the time, we had to hire some folks who are smarter than I am, right? Because again, we knew how to make money. We didn't know how to run a multi-million-dollar company. Honestly,
Right.
we
Yeah.
we at this point we probably can. Back then, no, right? But we were
Mm-hmm.
smart enough to know what we didn't know, and we are
Yeah.
smart enough to hire some folks who taught us how to put these systems in place. Right,
Mm.
our accountant that we had a really good accountant in Baltimore when we moved down there, and they took the time to teach us. Hey, listen, you got to put this in place, and you got to put that in place, and this is how this works. Again, we had guidance and mentorship, and people telling us, this is what you need to do, and
Yeah.
we listened, and we put those systems in place because again, the difference between a business and a company is a company you can walk away from and it runs by itself, right? A lot of people have businesses that they are the business. How do you sell that, right? You
Can't.
can't sell that, right? Without those systems and processes in place, you can't sell it, right? So we learned again the hard way. We learned that we had to put those things in place so
Yeah.
that we weren't the ones doing everything. When we
Right.
first moved down to Baltimore and found this building, which by the way was directly across the street from M&T Bank Stadium, football stadium,
Mm.
directly a stone's throw away. This building it's old. It was an old brewery. Actually, it made the Sun Pop soda, some soda pop or something like that. It was old building. So we did everything when we first got down. We painted the building. We built all the makeshift rooms that we had. The first machine that we had, we built it ourselves. We bought the conveyor systems and we put the whole thing together. Eventually, we got some professional help to get some real machinery in there. It's funny because we started with our base was a resin sand base, and we bought two Burger King flame broiling ovens, right? And that's how we were making our first bases for the tile
Mm.
from these two refurbished Burger King flame broil ovens. It was funny, but we were doing everything right. Come in early,
Wow.
turn the ovens on, and we were just doing everything.
Hmm.
But we were shipping. I'd have to come out of the office and go to the back door to load the pallets and load the trucks. Right, we come out and now we're shipping. Right, and then we come back in the office and now we're boss and we're office manager and then we got to take out the trash and clean the bathrooms.
Jeez.
Maintenance on the ovens. Got to figure out how to fix the ovens, and again, the internet wasn't what it is today. We had to get books and go to the library and call people left and right,
Jeez.
to figure all this stuff out. But as we progressed and the business got bigger and bigger, there we knew everything. We knew every facet of that business. You couldn't come to us from shipping and say, "Oh, I can't do this," because we've done
Mm.
it before. What do you mean you
Right.
can't do it? We know how to do
Wow.
this, right?
Wow.
Those guys making the grout, they can't. Oh, we can't do this or we can't do that. And, what do
Mm.
you mean you can't do it? We
Mm.
know how this works. We created it, right? So we
Yeah.
know how this works. So we know every facet of the business. If the salesman were to come in and say, "Hey, I couldn't meet my quota this month because of this, that, or whatever," we have an understanding of what it takes to sell this product. So you can't come back to us with some nonsense, because we know exactly what it takes to sell this product, right? So we knew
Yes.
everything about the business because we had done it all.
Absolutely. So I'm intrigued by this. What in the development phase, right? Because there's a part of development that has to happen as a leader, as a person. You and your business partner had to develop as people, as leaders, as business minds, as all of these things. So what took the the business being ran by two entrepreneurial business minds to
Mhm.
a company infrastructure? Now it's run by systems and processes and procedures. What kind of development did you go through as far as learning and pouring into yourselves to take yourselves to that kind of to that kind of level?
So it was a couple of things. First thing were mistakes, right? Orders
Mm.
don't go out on time. Orders go out that aren't complete, and people either not paying us or threatening not to pay us. Right? That'll make you learn real fast when somebody's holding that check up. Um,
Right.
so we made a lot of mistakes when we figured out that, hey, listen, we need a process in place for this. We need some tracking. Now this wasn't our first rodeo. We had
Yeah.
one of the stories I didn't tell you about is one of the businesses that me and my the same partner Chris had up in Philadelphia, was a doll company. Right, believe it or not, two young black male engineers had a baby doll company
Hmm.
called Looks Like Me Dolls in the
Hmm.
Philadelphia area back in the 80s. And, that was pretty popular. We had a
Wow.
warehouse down on 3rd and Girard. And yeah, we were all on the news and everything because the story was unique. These two black guys with a doll baby company, right? But I
Yeah.
had a couple daughters, and my partner had a daughter, and we wanted dolls that looked like our daughters, right? So
Hmm.
we created a doll company where you provide us with a picture and we made custom dolls that look like your child. We dressed them like your child. The face was drawn by artists. It looked just like your child. The hairstyle was styled like your child. Everything. So that
Wow.
that was that was another one of those interim businesses that you see a lot of our ideas were phased out because of technology. Back then
Hmm.
this was revolutionary, right? But then eventually they came out with a way to like make some kind of photocopy that you could put on the face of the doll or something. Somebody, we had all kinds of people copying us,
Hmm.
and eventually, technology caught up to us. But
Wow.
yeah, and then another business was we had a business called Videogram. All right, so
Hmm.
my kids said that we were the first Instagram. It wasn't
Look at
very
that.
instant back then, but we would do these 20-minute videos and send it wherever you want. Do you remember the big cameras with the VHS tapes, right? So what we would do is say, come to your home, shoot a 20-minute video for you. You can do whatever you want, sing, dance, read a poem, read a letter or whatever, and then we'd send it to whoever you wanted to send it to. If your family's
Mm.
across the country or out of state or something like that, and it was called Videogram. We
Mm.
even had a booth down at the naval station, so when the midshipmen came in, they do their videos and send it to wherever home was. Right? They could be stationed in Texas or anywhere, and but they're in Philly right now, so they shoot it. We had all kinds of backdrops and props, and we had one that looked like they were in the brig, right? And then, I'm sorry I can't come home because I'm in the brig, and I need you to send me some money and stuff like that. So we would shoot those videos, send them to wherever they wanted to send them. So
Mm.
we had all kinds of businesses. So through those other businesses, we learned how important quality control was.
Hmm.
We learned, again, working at the company we worked at together. We had both in our work history had gone through quality control. We understood what quality control was, what statistical process control was. So we
Mm.
measured everything. We understood early that those things that get measured get changed,
That's
and
right.
so we were always tracking and having a quality mind. So that, along with making a few serious mistakes, it taught us to get our processes in order quickly.
Mm. Respect. So when when you think about this, because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that could potentially be listening to this, what would you tell maybe the top three things or mistakes to avoid or principles to adhere to for most business owners, whatever size? What would you say those would be? Dealing with all the kinds of businesses you've dealt with personally and the
Hmm.
people that you've coached.
So the top three things that they should do,
Yeah,
um,
or avoid.
yeah, or avoid. Yeah, okay. Number one is create that business plan, right? Create a good, comprehensive business plan. Even if you don't have a need for it. See, most people wait until they have a need for it. I need a loan, and the bank says, "Hey, we want to see a business plan," right? Or maybe if they're another lender, some other kind of lender, or if they're getting assistance from the SBA or some score, somebody, they're going to tell them you need a business plan. Nothing happens without a business plan,
Right.
right? But before it even comes to that, before you need something, create that business plan. Find somebody to help you if you can't do it yourself. Build that business plan because you'd be surprised at what you learn while you're doing that. Right? It's like, and I have to use an example that the younger people can relate to, because people my age, we figured it out. Like I said, the hard way. But when you Google something, how often do you learn something new that you didn't that you're not even looking for? Right? You're looking for the 2024 Cadillac, and you see some other stuff about some other stuff that Cadillac is doing. Oh, Cadillac got electric now, and Cadillac got this, and Cadillac got that. You learn so much information while you're looking for what you're looking for,
Mm.
right? And the business plan is the same way. While you're taking that journey, building the pieces of the business plan, number one, you're going to meet some new people
Yeah.
because you're going to get that template and you're going to say, man, I don't know what an executive summary is. Let me reach
Mm.
out to somebody at SCORE, right?
Right.
So you're going to meet somebody with some amazing experience that's going to help you figure out how to do your business plan. But now you got a whole new relationship of somebody with a ton of experience, right? And then you get
Right.
to different sections. Now I got to do my financials. You know what? My accountant can't help me with this. I might need
Mm.
another. I might need to find a CPA. I might need to find another
Yeah.
account. So now you meet somebody else
Mm.
with some knowledge that can pour into you that you can learn from. That's now going to help you grow your business, right? Now
Yeah.
two people are now just in this process. Two new people that can assist you with this. You get to the point where you decide what it is that you want to do, and you might need an attorney. Oh, now I got to find an attorney, right? You need
Yeah.
another person. You get to the point where you decide you want to actually get a contract You need an attorney to look over it, but in most instances, you might need insurance, right? Now you got to talk to somebody about insurance. So along the way, you're gonna meet more people, and you're gonna learn so much in just building that business plan. And then once you have the plan, that's your roadmap. Right? Anytime you're
Yeah.
unsure of what you should be doing, you just go back to that roadmap. Right. So business plans are
Mm,
critical. And I know a lot of people, again, I was the hard headed one. I didn't want to have to take the time to sit down and write a business plan. I got money to make, right? But
right. Right.
it's the best thing you can do. It's the best thing you can do.
Mm,
And as you move on with your business and your life, you just come back to it every now and then, and make sure that you're staying on track and that things are updated and you incorporate new
true.
technology and new processes and things like that. So I would
For
say,
sure.
I would say business plan number one, making key relationships is number two. Again,
Mm,
those gentlemen, those people that I mentioned that you meet while building your business plan, I call them your bail team, right? The people you call when you
mm,
get in trouble. That's bail,
mm,
BAIL. Right? You're going to have your banker, you're going
mm,
to have your accountant, you have your insurance agent, you're going to have your
mm,
lawyer. Right? Those are people you fall back
mm,
on when you get in trouble. So that's your bail team. You
right.
want to have that team, and you want these folks that are around for you to call on and lean on. Your advisory group, you need that. Everybody needs that. Yeah, I don't care how smart
Right.
you are. You're not going to have all the answers. You're going to run into something that you're going to need help
Truth.
with, and you need those bail individuals, right? You don't need an attorney on retainer, but you need somebody you can call every now and then and say, "Hey, let me run this by you." Right? You got to build
Right.
those relationships. So that's
For
two,
sure.
and I'm trying to think of number three. You got me. You want that advisory team. You definitely want a business plan. I might have to come back to three.
What about what about this third one? Could be something that you need to avoid, like that most businesses make a mistake on. Anything mistake wise that
Yeah. So
entrepreneurs
so
do
I'm gonna
wrong?
I'm gonna I'm going to talk to those who are looking to start a business right now. Here's the most critical thing that I see, and I work with a lot of people who come to me and say, "Hey, Jim, I'm trying to start this business." Right? It's not about what you want, right? It's about solving a problem or filling a void. Okay,
That's
you
right.
might love. I'll use Cadillac as an example, right? You might. Now that's not a good example. You might love. You might love lemon pound cakes. I love lemon pound cakes, so I'm going to go into business making lemon pound cakes. It's not about what you like, right?
That's right.
It's about who else wants lemon pound. Is there anybody else who wants lemon pound cake besides you? All right. So I need
Right.
folks to do that research to make sure that you're solving a problem. Is there a shortage of lemon pound cakes? Right. Um, you ought to
Yeah.
be solving a problem. The bigger the
That's right.
problem, the better the business. Right. So there are
That's right.
so many people out here who are just doing things just to be doing things. Just
Right.
because you like it. Just because you like it doesn't mean that there's going to be enough people that also like it to allow you to have a sustainable business. So do your
That's true.
research, do the market research, right? Identify your target audience and make sure that that target audience is large enough for you to have a sustainable business. So I would
Mm,
say avoid that obstacle of not doing your research if you're starting a business.
right. Well, that's good. That's good. I appreciate you sharing that. Just a few final questions for you. So when it comes to like distribution, right? Building something that, like, to your point about, you know, solving a problem. A lot of people struggle with, I'm sure you've seen this too, in marketing their business. So, like, what do you, and their gifts or their talents or their strengths as an organization, what advice would you give to people that are looking to distribute their gifts, their talent, their business to the marketplace? What is your best advice on that?
Yeah, so it's research. It's research again. You got to find your target audience, find out where they are and how to reach them. They're out there, and it's easier than ever. When we started, there was no internet. You can't just
Wow.
Google people and then have all these online platform tools that you can identify folks. In fact, you can just go to Facebook or Instagram, and they'll identify these folks for you, and they'll
Right.
give you the cost of reaching these folks, right on
Right.
their timelines, in their DMs, in their emails. You can target who these folks are. Nowadays, even the post office can do that for you, right?
That's
You can
right.
say if you identify who your target audience is, how old they are, how much income they have, how many kids they have, neighborhood they live in, schools they went to. There's a lot of places where you can go who can target those individuals, and they can put something in their mailbox, they can put something in their
Mhm.
email, or they can put something on their timeline.
Right.
Right. So you identify those people, and it doesn't, and depending on what your product or service is, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter where they are. Right now, you don't have to worry about foot traffic. You don't have to worry about being close enough to somebody that they can walk into your store. Now you can provide whatever it is that you have, either online or through an online service where somebody can order and have something shipped to them. So you can target these individuals, and then it's all about crafting your message, right?
Mm.
Finding them and crafting the right message, whether that's an ask or the right information to provide to them, or again, understanding who they are enough to help them solve their problems.
Right.
If you can
That's
do
good.
that, you can build a successful business.
Love it. Love it. So the final question we ask, and then I'd also love for you after that to share information for people that want to plug in with you. You weren't prepped on this question. The question that we ask every guest that comes on the show is, what's the difference between one's gift and one's purpose? One's gift and one's purpose.
Well, for me, again, some people are born with gifts, right? Whether you're athletic, you have some athletic gifts, some talents, things like that. These are gifts that are given to you through birth, right?
Right.
Or if you're born into a certain situation or in a certain area, these are these are gifts, right? And we have to be thankful for our gifts and utilize them wisely. But your purpose is something that you just gotta do no matter what,
Mm.
right? Your purpose digs at you if you're not following it, right? If
Mm.
you're truly in touch with yourself, you just there's just certain things you got to do. If I'm not helping somebody, I don't feel good. I don't feel right. Right. A long time ago, I could have just bought a boat and fished every day.
Right.
Right. I could I could just concentrate on taking care of me.
Right.
Me and my wife at this point. My kids are grown, but
Mm.
we could go take vacations and just our lives could be much simpler, but we have purpose. My wife is a nurse. Her purpose, and she she'll through our 35 years of marriage, she's worked and not worked and worked and not worked, but
Mm.
but she has a purpose. Our purpose
Mhm.
is taking care of primarily seniors. She really takes
Mm.
care of everybody, but her purpose is to
Mm.
take care of seniors. My purpose is to pour into young folks.
Wow. That's
Whether
beautiful.
that's in I was a basketball coach and at one point soccer coach. I don't know how I got into that. I don't know anything about soccer, but my kids were playing, so I coached. But it's all about pouring into young people, right? Trying
Yeah.
trying to help young people be the best that they can be.
Love it.
I hope I answered that
Oh
well. Your
yeah.
purpose is just something that you just have to do. You
Mm.
just have to do it. And again, I was doing it. sometimes for no monetary gain, right?
Yeah.
I still do it. I work all day for M&T Bank, but at
Hmm.
night, what you'll find me doing is, I'm a Year Up mentor. There's an organization called Year Up. I'm Big Brother, Big Sister mentor. I got a bunch of mentors that aren't associated with any kind of program,
Wow.
but just people need something. They need somebody to talk to. They
Yeah.
need some assistance, and those things that you do without anybody knowing about it, without anybody paying you,
Hmm.
just the things that you just in your spirit just have to do. That's your purpose,
That's
and
beautiful.
it doesn't necessarily have to be a gift. Like I said, I was teaching soccer to young kids, and then
Right.
I can't play soccer, don't know anything about soccer,
Look. Yeah.
but I'm following my purpose,
There
right?
you go.
It's not a gift. It's certainly not a gift,
That, wow.
but they needed a coach, and I decided to step in and fill that void.
Much respect. Beautiful. Love that answer. That's really profound. Could you share it with people how they can connect with you if they want to learn more or work with you in M&T Bank? And what's the best way for people to reach out to you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn, James W. Peterson Jr. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram at Jim P M and T MANDT. I'm on Facebook at Jim Peterson. And yeah, you can reach me there. My email address is jpeterson3 at mtb.com. If you have some needs around banking, funding, entrepreneurship, I hope to bring my accelerator to Philadelphia very soon. Looking to connect with some folks in the Philadelphia area. Again, accelerator is a 10-week accelerator. It's an on ramp to the Goldman Sachs program. When Goldman Sachs came to Baltimore back in 2016, I believe it was, you had to be making $100,000. And a lot of folks that I was working with were not yet making $100,000. So I designed this program and I called it Zero to 100 for those folks who aren't yet making $100,000. So it's a great program. It gives you all the tools and foundation that you need to get you over that $100,000 mark. And if you're already at the $100,000 mark, is to help you get to the next level. Meet those people that you need to know and have those tools that you need to have to get to the next level, whatever that is.
Love that. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jim, for your time. This is a blessing to me. I know it will be a blessing to the listeners that catch the show.
Fantastic. Very happy to be here.
Thank
Got
you,
to come
sir.
up and see you soon.
Yes, sir. Anytime. Anytime.